We live in a time where some people believe it's their life's mission to erase certain books from existence because of what's written inside them. These book-banning folks toss out all sorts of reasons, and many of them are absurd. But honestly, this shouldn't shock anyone. This isn't some modern trend. The banning, censoring, and even burning of books has played out across many cultures throughout history, and more often than not, it's been for the same reasons we see today. Some fear the pages hold forbidden truths, dangerous thoughts, or things too bizarre to be read. Still, these books endure. So here are the 15 most mysterious forbidden books in the world. Number 15. The Book of Soyga. Magic has had a strange and scary journey from being burned at the stake to being sold on bookshelves. The Book of Soyga, a 16th century manuscript, sits squarely in the middle. It was once owned by John Dee, who was an advisor to Queen Elizabeth I and a scholar deeply invested in the occult. After his death, the book disappeared until it resurfaced in 1994. When experts opened it, they found material on astrology, magic, demonology, and complex tables tied to lunar cycles and celestial events. Some of it reads like a guide to arcane knowledge, while other parts are so cryptic they remain untranslated. Even John Dee couldn't make sense of it entirely. He once claimed only supernatural beings could unlock its secrets. To this day, large sections of the book remain an enigma. It's not just a relic, it's a coded message lost to time. Whether it holds forgotten wisdom or just incomprehensible ramblings, it is unsettling. Number 14. The Book of Enoch. Depending on how familiar you are with Jewish or Christian theology, you've probably heard the term canon used to describe official religious texts. The Bible includes what's considered canon, but not everything written during that time made the cut. One of the most notable excluded works is the Book of Enoch. Actually, it's a series of 3 separate books written between 300 and 100 BCE. They explore how demons entered the world, how certain angels fell from grace, and predictions about the coming of the Messiah. It's equal parts historical account and prophetic text. Despite being left out of the Bible, many believe its content aligns with themes found in Scripture. Some even claim the Bible refers to it indirectly. Today, scholars and religious researchers still study the Book of Enoch, trying to understand why it was excluded and whether it holds truths that got buried for a reason. It's one of those ancient works that never faded away. It just sat quietly outside the official narrative. What do you think about it? Number 13. Codex Seraphinianus. A codex can refer to many things, but in this case it means something completely unhinged in the best way. The Codex Seraphinianus is a bizarre visual encyclopedia created entirely from the mind of Italian artist Luigi Serafini, hence the name. This isn't some misunderstood ancient text, it's a deliberate piece of absurdist art. It spans 360 pages filled with surreal illustrations and a totally made-up language, and we're not talking about a cipher or constructed language with rules. It's pure nonsense, and Serafini has confirmed that it's meaningless. Some drawings echo real objects, but most are like dream logic on paper. Fish turning into fruit, people turning into machines. Some scholars see it as a commentary on how children experience books before they know how to read, pictures they don't know, paired with writing that's just as confusing. And that may have been Serafini's point all along. It doesn't aim to be decoded. It just exists to mess with your expectations, and it does that masterfully. Something has a purpose, but this book and I don't. Number 12. The Ripley Scrolls. What we have here is a massive illustrated scroll about 6 meters long devoted entirely to the pursuit of one goal, creating the Philosopher's Stone. That legendary object was said to grant eternal life and turn any base metal into gold. Naturally, anyone who could understand and apply the knowledge in this scroll would be unstoppable. But there's a catch. The Ripley Scrolls, named after 15th century alchemist George Ripley, are dense, symbolic, and intentionally hard to interpret. They're packed with cryptic drawings and coded language that only seasoned alchemists might grasp. These weren't made for just anyone. They were aimed at serious practitioners who had already spent years studying the art, and that might have been the point. The Philosopher's Stone, if it ever existed, wasn't meant for casual discovery. These scrolls guarded their secrets through metaphor, allegory, and visual puzzles. Whether Ripley truly believed in the stone or used the scroll as an intellectual exercise, it remains one of the most iconic alchemical texts in history. Number 11. The Necronomicon. Now for something from the opposite end of the spectrum, the infamous Necronomicon. Let's be clear up front. It's completely fake. And not just fake, it was openly created by horror author H.P. Lovecraft. He made up both the book and its name entirely, though no one knows exactly where he pulled the word from. Some say it came to him in a dream, others think he might have borrowed ideas from writers of his era. The rough translation of the title is Book of the Dead, and while it sounds ancient and cursed, every version of the Necronomicon is fictional. In Lovecraft's stories, it was a powerful book that could command the dead and tap into forbidden knowledge. Ironically, even Lovecraft admitted it was a complete fabrication, though he never actually described much of what was inside it. Still, fans latched onto the idea, creating replicas and treating it like a real artifact. The Necronomicon blew up in pop culture, appearing in movies like The Evil Dead and even DC Comics, proving sometimes the fake stuff spreads the farthest. Number 10. The Malleus Maleficarum. This one's infamous for a reason. Written in 1486 by Catholic clergyman Heinrich Kramer, the Malleus Maleficarum was basically the witch hunter's guidebook. It claimed to offer official church doctrine on identifying witches and eliminating them. The problem is, a lot of church officials didn't agree and openly rejected it. But that didn't stop the book from spreading like wildfire. It was used as the go-to manual for prosecuting alleged witches during the Renaissance. It covered everything from how to find witches to how to extract confessions, often under torture. Kramer insisted it was all in line with the church's beliefs, but plenty of theologians pushed back, arguing it was dangerous and unbiblical. Didn't matter. The Malleus still fueled a centuries-long hysteria that got thousands of innocent people killed. It wasn't just superstition, it was organized, printed paranoia dressed up as religious law. Even today, it stands as one of the creepiest examples of how a book can be used as a weapon for witches. Number 9. The Grand Grimoire. Unlike some earlier texts that dance around magic in a broad sense, the Grand Grimoire dives headfirst into the darkest parts of black magic. This isn't just theory, it's a practical manual for summoning demons and bending them to your will. The grimoire is split into two parts. The first contains instructions on how to conjure a demon and forge the tools needed to command it. As you might expect, that's a game few win. The second part goes even further, giving instructions for forming a pact with infernal beings to achieve things like wealth or love. Supposedly, these rituals come with a serious risk to the practitioner, and while it might sound like something out of a fantasy novel, this text was taken seriously by occult circles for centuries. Whether used out of belief or desperation, this grimoire has a long-standing reputation for being one of the most dangerous magical texts ever compiled, and it's not hard to see why people were terrified of its contents. Number 8. The Devil Sets Bible. The Christian Bible warns about the devil and his influence over mankind, but what if there were a Bible tied to the devil himself? That's where the Codex Gigas comes in, better known as the Devil's Bible. The book is real, massive, and written in Latin. It contains the full Bible along with other medieval manuscripts. But what makes it infamous is a full-page portrait of Satan inside, and the legend that surrounds its creation. One version of the story says a monk, facing death after committing a serious offense, promised to create a book in a single night to save himself. Realizing the task was impossible, he allegedly made a pact with Lucifer to complete it. The devil's image was supposedly added as part of the deal. Whether the tale is true or not, the book's size, contents, and eerie artwork gave it its ominous nickname. Today, it's kept in the National Library of Sweden, and its origins remain surrounded by mystery and folklore. Number 7. The Book of Thoth. This one bends the meaning of book a little. The Book of Thoth doesn't refer to a single written text, but rather a category of writings associated with Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, magic, and writing. According to legend, Thoth was the origin of all knowledge, and anything attributed to him carried immense power. Over time, multiple scrolls, wall inscriptions, and even funerary writings were credited to him, especially during Egypt's dynastic periods. The Book of Thoth was said to contain secrets about the laws of nature, the underworld, and mystical arts, knowledge so dangerous that reading it could result in divine punishment. Priests and scribes often engraved such teachings on temple walls or placed them within tombs to protect the deceased in the afterlife. While the actual content of the book varies depending on interpretation, many believe it symbolized hidden truths preserved through coded language and ritual. In myth and mystery alike, the Book of Thoth is treated less as literature and more as divine encryption. Number 6. The Red Book. How far would someone go to uncover the depths of their own psyche? Carl Gustav Jung, the founder of analytical psychology, decided to explore exactly that. Between 1913 and 1916, during a period of personal crisis, Jung conducted intense self-experiments in what he called active imagination, a process of intentionally engaging with his unconscious. He documented these inner journeys in what became known as the Red Book. Unlike his clinical writings, this was deeply personal. He recorded visions, dreams, dialogues with archetypes, and symbolic imagery that reflected his inner transformation. He later transcribed and painted these entries into an enormous red leather-bound volume. Some consider it evidence of a psychological breakdown. Others believe it's the foundation of Jung's most important theories on the collective unconscious, archetypes, and individuation. The book remained hidden for decades, with Jung's heirs reluctant to release it. It wasn't published until 2009, almost 50 years after his death. Since then, the Red Book has become one of the most intriguing psychological texts ever written. Number 5. The Egyptian Book of the Dead. Well, yes, the Book of the Dead I just mentioned was fictional, but now we're talking about the real deal, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The name is a bit misleading, though, because it wasn't a single book. It was more of a collection of texts, scrolls, and spells used by ancient Egyptians, dating back to around 1500 BCE during the New Kingdom period. These writings were meant to help guide the dead through the afterlife. Think spiritual instructions for navigating the next world. The spells were written by priests and compiled over more than 1,000 years, and once a version of the text was prepared, it would often be placed in a person's tomb or coffin, meant to assist their soul on the journey beyond. No two versions were exactly alike. Some families even purchased specific scrolls based on which spells they believed were most effective. Whether or not the spells worked doesn't really matter. The Egyptians believed in them, and that belief shaped how they honored their dead for generations. Number 4. The Dresden Codex. This manuscript stands as one of the oldest surviving texts from pre-Columbian America. The Dresden Codex, attributed to the Maya civilization, dates back to the 11th or 12th century and contains remarkably detailed information about astronomy, planetary movements, lunar cycles, and rituals. Written in hieroglyphs on bark paper, it's filled with symbols and charts that reflect how deeply the Maya integrated cosmic events into daily life. The codex includes predictions for eclipses, records of agricultural seasons, and ceremonial instructions tied to celestial alignments. Some pages contain data that aligns shockingly well with modern astronomical calculations. Despite its accuracy, much of the codex was nearly lost, either due to Spanish colonial destruction of indigenous texts or general historical neglect. Thankfully, this particular manuscript survived and was eventually housed in Germany, where it got its name. To scholars, it's an essential piece of Maya culture and scientific knowledge. For all of us, it's a mystery. Number 3. The Popol Vuh. Forbidden can take many forms, including being erased by people determined to wipe out history itself. That's exactly what happened to the Popol Vuh, a sacred text of the Quichés Maya people in what is now Guatemala. The book is both a mythological account and a record of history documenting creation stories, gods, heroes, and the origins of the Quichés lineage. Spanish colonizers tried to destroy every trace of it and almost succeeded. Much of the Maya literary heritage was deliberately burned or buried, but one copy of the Popol Vuh survived. It was preserved by Dominican friar Francisco Ximenes in the early 18th century, who translated it into Spanish while keeping the original Quichés version intact. This lone copy is why we still have access to the mythology and worldview of an ancient civilization that colonialism tried to erase. Today, the Popol Vuh is considered a cornerstone of indigenous Mesoamerican literature, a rare instance where one book carried an entire culture's spiritual and historical legacy into modern memory. Number 2. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Here's a book example of how false texts can be crafted not for fame or belief, but purely to spread hate. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion is a fabricated document first circulated in early 20th century Russia. It falsely claims to reveal a Jewish conspiracy to dominate the world. No part of it is true, not a word. It was written with the sole intention of fueling anti-Semitism and turning public opinion against Jewish communities. Despite being repeatedly debunked, it spread quickly throughout Europe and the Middle East, influencing major political movements and anti-Semitic violence. The structure of the document mimicked secret meeting notes, which gave it a fake sense of authority. Historians have since proven that it plagiarized earlier political satires and repurposed them with malicious intent. The damage it caused, though, is very real. Even today, some extremist groups continue to reference it as fact. It stands as one of history's most dangerous hoaxes, a scary reminder of how easily false words can be weaponized. Number 1. The 9 Unknown Men manuscripts. This is a classic example of a story spiraling beyond its original purpose because of readers who took the concept and ran wild. The 9 Unknown was written by Talbot Mundy and centered around a secret society called the 9 Unknown Men, allegedly founded to safeguard knowledge too powerful for public access. Each of the 9 guardians was responsible for a separate book filled with dangerous secrets ranging from advanced technology to scientific theory. After the novel's release, some readers claimed the group was real and began expanding on the supposed contents of the books. The myth traces back to India during the 3rd century BCE under Emperor Ashoka, a real historical figure who ruled most of the Indian subcontinent. After witnessing the carnage of the Kalinga War, Ashoka converted to Buddhism and embraced peace. According to legend, he also realized certain information was too volatile and entrusted 9 brilliant minds with keeping it hidden. It's fiction, but one that's inspired endless spin-offs and pop culture references. If you found this video interesting, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us this far, and we'll see you very soon in the next one.